Hello, my name is Rachel, and now I will present my research conveying message effectively in a webinar event case of a business community in East Java. In this presentation, I will talk about the introduction, research method, result and discussion, and conclusion. The background of this research starts from how the pandemic changed business event. Event business is always challenged to be able to follow trend, situation, and technological development from time to time. During COVID-19 pandemic, the event business is among the most affected. As mentioned by Lee et al. In 2017, the meeting and event industry has encountered significant change, especially for business purpose communication with the presence of technology, which is part of additional element. Goldberg also said, new way to change the profit of a company is to organize distance programs in the form of webinar and webcast. During the webinar, the speakers need to use attractive visual and sound to convey high enthusiasm, energy to the webinar participant. Bryson said that the key in organizing a successful webinar is having skilled speakers who engage the participant during their intervention to avoid missing moment, message, and information. Webinar with all their advantage can provide benefit that seminars and offline events cannot provide. But what we face is disadvantages have not been well optimized. According to Hanley and Chapman, most of the webinars that are held are considered useless because they can give impact. Webinar could give impact when the participant pay attention to what the speaker is saying, but this would be hard for participants when the sessions are not attractive. Henley and Chapman also mentioned that webinars are sometimes claimed to be unattractive because the value are not conveyed as promises. Speakers do not understand the online presentation method, and no audience asks questions. Having a good communication skill with good material can bring attractiveness to the webinar. As part of communication skills, presentation is generally defined as an activity to explain something. In making a presentation, Walsh explained the use of stories could make someone easier to learn, remember, and share information or message with others. The problem is, there is a gap between the speaker and the audience that make the webinar ineffective. So, how speakers' presentation skill affect the success of a webinar? To reach a successful and effective webinar, there are a lot of things to consider, but the unattractiveness is the most outspoken issue in organizing webinar. The objective of this research is to reveal how the speakers in webinar conveyed their message, whether effectively or considered unattractive, during a series of national business conference held in Indonesia, and how it affects participants in joining webinar. This research used descriptive qualitative method approach with phenomenological paradigm. Data were collected by field observation and in-depth interview. Observations were made by being part of the conference committee and participating in online conference session with other participants, while in-depth interview conducted with the conference liaison officer. Determination of the sample is done by purposive sampling, where the informers are chosen based on certain character and consideration. Observation and interview result validated with in-depth interview with the leader of the conference and data from organizing team evaluation result as form of search triangulation. In the business conference, there are 31 webinar sessions observed. The 31 sessions were grouped based on the quality and enthusiasm of the participants in the session into groups A, B, C, and D. From this grouping, it was found that factors that influence participants to take part in a webinar. The result is as shown in the table. The way to convey material that needs to be considered is a relaxed, friendly, and confident personality, interactive, contains stories, clear and detailed, to the point, and focus on sharing knowledge, while material also needs to meet the needs and expectation of the participant. Informative, focus and depth, give real evidence, can be implemented relevant with the era and the existing condition. The main message of the presentation should have an impact in the form of encouraging to make change, give new insight, inspiring, and motivating. It should also be noted that there are no or minimum technical problems and noise outside the speaker's voice. The result of in-depth interview conducted with the license officer of the business conference speaker show that briefing is given long before the event. There is a technical meeting and rehearsal, but not all speakers attend rehearsal and technical meetings. By this interview also found that speakers can divide into three groups, which is popular practitioners, who already used to sharing in online media and able to convey message well. Second, practitioners are also speakers or teachers. Speakers used to speaking in public and able to operate online conference application. And the last one is practitioners only. They are rigid in conveying the message, and some speakers are technologically savvy, so they need more assistance or help. Technical to satisfaction. Sessions that were interesting to listen to had more effect on participant satisfaction than technical issue. The existing of technical problem interfere with the comfort of participant, but technical problems can still be tolerant and do not have a big effect on participant satisfaction. Interest. There is a bias. Interviewee like session filled by the people they follow or work with. Interviewee like sessions that are inspiring, motivating, informative, and not boring outside their bias. Sessions filled with people who are able to explain material clearly and simply are the sessions that participants like. Now, in this discussion, it was found that the speakers had an influence on the success and effectiveness of the webinar. The sessions are grouped into four groups. A is a session with speakers who look the most credible in delivering message. B is a session with speakers who are able to provide new insight. C is a session that is considered monotone. And D is a group session that has no impact on participants. Speakers need to pay attention to the material, the main message, the story, the audience, the benefit given to the audience, logical and emotional involvement, audio, visual, and practice as it is suggested by Anderson to be able to convey the message well. This is what groups A and B did, so they were able to make the webinar session effective. Material, audience, and benefit given to the audience factor can be concluded as a relevant factor. The main message should be clear. Material and main message can be conveyed using story, audio, and visual that can help audience have a clear picture about what speaker says and make it easier to understand. While logic and emotional involvement play a role to make audience feel attached to the speakers. This attach brings audience interest to follow the session. Material that convey should give new insight to the audience even though this topic pretty common. As a conclusion, as speakers, credibility has to be conveyed to the audience, which include trustworthiness, strong knowledge, and also goodwill. Effective presentation obligate the speakers or presenter to deliver with enough preparation, such as detailed message, clear information, personal experience stories, know the background of the audience, preparing logical at the same time emotional involvement, visual illustration, and clear voice with enough practice. And this is proven through these online conference speakers. Thank you.